Welcome to episode 48 of The Explainer Vibe Coding the Law. Let's just dive right in. Today, we're unpacking a massive, impending revolution in legal literacy. We're looking at how natural language is literally tearing down these giant technical walls to create an era of true legal abundance. We're talking about a world where the average person can interact with and even build legal frameworks using something called vibe coding. But to really grasp how revolutionary this is, we've got to understand the barriers that have kept us locked out for thousands of years.
It all boils down to this really profound translation problem. How do we translate the messy, highly relational, and super forgiving nature of human law into the cold, unforgiving, absolute perfection of machine code? It's tough, right? Well, to understand this modern headache, we first need to look backward at how ancient societies historically hoarded the power of the law.
Because historically speaking, justice has always been a monopoly. Back in antiquity, the law wasn't exactly something you could just go look up at the library. It was maintained by professional rememberers, guys called mnemons, who kept these unwritten oral traditions alive. Then, as ancient empires grew, we saw the rise of elite scribes, like the Mesopotamian Tupshahu. These were Akkadian-speaking elites who trained rigorously in the massive complexities of cuneiform. And listen, their education wasn't for public enlightenment. It was exclusive cultural capital. They intentionally bottlenecked complex literature to consolidate oligarchic control. The law was the ultimate VIP club. But as history pushed forward, this power was eventually shattered by engineered intentionally scripts.
That monopoly? It was completely broken by a brilliant biological hack. Writing systems, like the Korean Hangul or the Cherokee syllabary, were absolute game changers because they successfully hacked our working memory limits. You see, our brains can only handle so much, but these scripts used cognitive chunking, finding the absolute optimal chunk size for human memory. This wasn't some slow generational evolution. This triggered rapid mass literacy in a matter of days. Days, it completely shattered the logographic monopolies held by ancient elites and rewired mass human coordination. Now keep this biological hack in the back of your mind, because we are trying to achieve the exact same mass literacy breakthrough today, just with code.
Fast forward to today, and we're facing a brand new legal bottleneck, the clash between wet code and dry code. Think of traditional human language and everyday contracts as wet code. It's inherently ambiguous, it's highly relational, and honestly, it's very forgiving, simply because we humans are forgiving. Now, contrast that with dry code, the language of machines and smart contracts. Dry code is rigid, it's mathematical, it is completely unalterable. Our modern law is this ambiguous, wet code that constantly needs a human to interpret it. But in our digital age, we're desperately striving for the absolute executable perfection of dry code.
And this creates a really profound physical divide. Think of our fluid, intuitive, associative human cognition as OS alpha. Our thoughts are probabilistic, they're highly creative. Contrast that with the ALU, the arithmetic logic unit of a computer, which relies on strict, deterministic, literal silicon logic gates and rigid physical state transitions. The divide between the human mind's OS alpha and the machine's strict hardware execution, it is vast. So the big question is, how do we cross it?
Well, for decades, our answer to crossing that divide was the graphical user interface, or GUI. But here's the reality check. The GUI is a dead end. There's this fantastic realization from the source material. We get the chimpanzee hitting buttons, but we chat with each other. It isn't as good. When we try to automate complex things using a GUI, it basically reduces us to hitting colorful levers for a reward, trading the deep, beautiful nuance of human language for the simplicity of a shiny button. And worse, automating it requires incredibly fragile screen scraping, where the AI just kind of guesses what to click based on shapes and colors. If a website simply changes its layout, boom, the entire automation completely breaks. It's so frustrating.
So, instead, we've got to move away from the heavy, fragile GUI and turn to the command line interface, or CLI. The CLI is incredibly lightweight, and it allows for direct communication with the machine's hardware by generating 100% exact text logs. We need to recognize that highly explicit, exact text is the universal interface. Text is the true operational literature of machines. Code isn't just mechanical gears clicking together, it's actually a highly expressive continuation of human authorship. Which brings us to a really fascinating concept, the semiotic bridge. Strictly formatted text, like a Python script or JSON, acts as this vital bridge, rooted in semiotic philosophy. It's the crucial link that allows our abstract, associative human imagination to be safely and predictably compiled right into the physical behavior of a silicon microchip. Literally, it is the one and only way our fluid human OS alpha can safely translate into exact hardware execution.
So how does this actually play out in practice? Well, step 1. The human pilot applies their intent using beautifully fluid natural language. Then, step 2, an AI agent steps in as a deterministic scripter. The AI agent acts as the uncompromising brain, translating your abstract imagination directly into pure executable logic. And finally, step 3, high-fidelity physical execution at the leaf node of the network. This isn't just theory floating in the cloud. It translates digital truth right into physical action. It's like triggering the electrical pins on a physical device, like a chairbot, to actually move a motor or turn on a light in the real physical world.
Now, let's apply this massive technological shift back to our legal system. Because right now, we are stuck in a modern scribe monopoly. Statutory reasoning suffers from a severe knowledge acquisition bottleneck because our open texture legal language heavily resists formalization into code. As a result, the legal profession suffers from a staggering 99% illiteracy rate in digital legal formalism, like Solidity or Python. Lawyers simply cannot read the code that is increasingly governing our world. This illiteracy keeps the law trapped once again behind a specialized class of technical elites, honestly, just like those ancient scribes in Mesopotamia.
But here is the incredible breakthrough. This is where vibe coding changes the game. By vibe coding with intuitive, natural language prompts, everyday people can direct AI agents to build complex workflows. Using tools like the open-source expert system DocAssemble alongside specific AI skills, we can finally translate our ambiguous wet code into formal dry code. This right here is our modern-day Hangul revolution. It empowers anyone to build AI-native agentic workflows, totally bypassing the need to manually write complex syntax, and triggering a rapid mass legal literacy that achieves a 99% hyperdeflation of jurisprudence. We are literally stripping away the friction of legal access.
Which leaves us with this final, truly profound question to wrap up our explainer today. If AI deterministic scripters can instantly and perfectly translate our messy legal intent into formal execution, completely bridging that massive semiotic divide, what happens to society when everyday people gain the power to write the law themselves? As we democratize this technology, we aren't just writing better software. We are fundamentally re-engineering the very nature of human governments, moving from a world of artificial legal scarcity to one of absolute legal abundance. Think about it. What would you build if the technical walls were completely gone? Thanks for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you next time.